So I'm based in Belgium, in Leuven, near Brussels, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Replasia. Just 1 second. Let me go to the next slide. So something's wrong here. Okay. So at Replasia, we see a big opportunity for innovation in the hip preservation surgery. That's a domain that doesn't get the same level of attention from big ortho companies as does total hip replacement. But we believe that hip preservation will become even more important in the future, given the aging population and a more active population as well. And at the same time, we see that certain hip preservation surgeries, like hip osteotomies, have an outcome that is strongly dependent on the surgeon's experience. And those surgeons typically also exhibit a high complication rate. To improve the outcome of hip surgery and hip treatment in general, we believe that there's also very big value in a transition from traditional two-dimensional X-ray images towards fully 3D analysis of the hip anatomy. That will improve diagnostics and treatment planning drastically. So with Replasia, we offer surgeons an easy and minimal invasive, patient-specific surgical solution to treat young adults with hip dysplasia. And at the same time, we improve the decision-making and treatment planning for hip preservation surgery by offering surgeons a patient-specific true 3D analysis of the hip anatomy and the joint motion, allowing them to make the best decisions in terms of treatment planning. So we have two parallel tracks at Replasia. One is a hardware track, one is a software track. On the left, you see our hardware product, which is in essence a patient-specific implant. What is unique about this implant is that it's an extra capsular implant. So it sits outside of the joint capsule of the hip, and it fulfills its function through the hip capsule itself. So it's not in contact with the femoral head, but only indirectly through the hip capsule. On the right side, you see our software product, which is a software as a medical device. It's called Hip Studio, and we have developed it as a cloud-based platform for hip joint analysis. So a few words about the implant. So the animation shows you the basic principle. I hope it's running on your screens as well. So we basically have improved an old surgical technique called the shelf acetabuloplasty. In that surgical procedure, an autograft was used and placed just above the femoral head, also outside of the hip capsule, to provide additional support to the femoral head in dysplasia patients. These dysplastic patients have an underdeveloped acetabulum, so the femoral head doesn't have enough support from the acetabulum, and the loads in the cartilage are therefore much larger than what is good for the patient. In this procedure, there were a lot of complications if the autograft was placed too high or too low. If it's placed too high, the autograft resorbs over time. If it's placed too low, you obviously get impingement with the femoral neck. And we try to improve that basic principle by designing a patient-specific shelf implant for the patient based on CT or MRI scans. Our solution is protected by various patents. And what is very interesting is that we have a parallel veterinarian track ongoing at Utrecht University in the Netherlands, which is our partner university. And that veterinarian track shows excellent promising results in a large dog study. So it's not just a study supporting our human implant development, but also in dogs, hip dysplasia is a major issue. And currently, more than 60 dogs have received this implant with good outcome. On the human side, we expect with Replasia to start our first in-human clinical trial this year. On the software, a few words. So the software we developed is a platform for analysis and treatment planning of the hip joint. So we focus mainly on hip preservation surgeries, like osteotomies to treat hip dysplasia, but also femoral acetabular impingement surgeries, for example, are within the scope. And yeah, we try to convert from 2D analysis of the anatomy to 3D analysis to come to a better decision making for the surgeon.
Peter, we have to run faster.
Yeah.
1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our market is large. Obviously, we don't make total hip implants, but it is estimated that about 1/3 of total hip prostheses are placed as a result indirectly of hip dysplasia. So that gives you an indication of the potential. We see a bottom-up conservative estimate of about 70 million for the implants and 30 million for the software at first. And adjacent market segments that we focus on are the veterinarian market and also the shoulder. I will skip this slide, just mention that we are a very lean organization with, let's say, small headcount, but supported by many external freelancers and organizations. So far, we raised about 1.8 million in a combination of capital and non-dilutive funding. And in 2025, we anticipate raising between 750 and 1.5 million euro, depending on the priorities and the timeline. And we will use the proceeds primarily to keep financing the clinical trial and also bring our software product to the market. So with that, I would like to conclude. Here's my contact information. For those of you who would attend the upcoming AOS in March, we will also be there and would be happy to connect at the show.